every year there's teams that hit absolute home runs in the NBA draft, and then there's also some teams that make some head-scratching picks. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my best picks of the 2023 NBA draft, as well as my worst picks from the draft. So there's definitely going to be more best picks made in this video that I was just fans of, and it's really like I wasn't a hater of any of these players or I dislike any of these players in a vacuum. I just thought the teams that maybe made these worst selections either reached on the player, or I don't really like the player that fits in their system or where they are in their timeline, if they're win now, if they're rebuilding, if they're retooling. So yeah, this is just my opinion. I'm going to go through the whole draft basically, so it could be any picks from number 1 to 58 because there weren't 60 picks made in this draft due to some tampering violations. So let me know some of your favorite picks in the comments below, as well as maybe some of your least favorite picks if you want to give me some down there. And drop a like if you guys are enjoying the post 2023 draft content. Let's get into it. So the first one I have to talk about is Scoot Henderson falling to number 3 and going to the Portland Trailblazers. He was my second ranked prospect in this draft, and while I don't love what Portland is doing as a team right now, they are teetering between trying to win now with Damian Lillard but not completely selling off some of their young valuable assets for win now caliber players, and they're trying to win with Damian Lillard and Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe. So I don't really love where they are going as a team direction right now. It's very confusing, but I just love getting Scoot Henderson at number 3 because it's just a great like secondary option, which should be your first option, and that's building around Scoot and Simons and Sharpe and the assets you get for Dame. So I think eventually, probably towards the end of the offseason, we will see a Damian Lillard trade. I don't think he's going to start the season on the Portland Trailblazers. So I think just starting your rebuild with one of the best point guard prospects we have seen in the last decade, like he's up there with Ben Simmons as a prospect, Cade Cunningham as a prospect, LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, Markelle Fultz. Like he's in that upper tier, and I think he's a better prospect than some of those guys that I just mentioned. So he's a franchise point guard that you could build your team around, that could be a good defender, that could be your floor general, your playmaker, even a shot creator slash facilitator for the next 10 plus years in Portland. Like I know it's going to hurt to trade off from one of your franchise's best players, probably your franchise's best player in Damian Lillard, but you could really go in and start this rebuild with Scoot Henderson. Like that's a great starting point. So I love them getting Scoot at number 3. Next up, I want to talk about Asura Thompson going to the Detroit Pistons at number 5. I love them taking Asura over a guy like maybe Taylor Hendricks or Anthony Black or Cam Whitmore or Jarris Walker. Asura Thompson isn't going to be the best shooter right away, and maybe they need that next to Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, but I think he's going to develop his shot. I think he could be a good playmaker for somebody probably playing those small forward caliber minutes. He's going to be buying into that defensive system under Monty Williams right away. I think he's going to be a good defender out the gate, and I think he's a perfect complementary piece to a Cade Cunningham and a Jaden Ivey, because I think there is a possibility that Asura Thompson can be a consistent 20-plus point per game scorer throughout his career. But if he's not, that's okay. He's going to be a perfect secondary piece to Cade and Ivy, and I think also complement Jalen Duren in that front court as well. Thompson could also maybe play some small ball 4 lineups once he gets more weight and more experience in the NBA at the defensive level. So this is one of my favorite picks in the draft. He was my 4th ranked prospect. They got him at number 5. I'm really glad they went with the Asura Thompson high ceiling pick. It seems like this is what Troy Weaver does as the Pistons GM. So yeah, it gets 2 thumbs up from me. Next up, I have the Pelicans selecting Jordan Hawkins here at 14. It's crazy because everybody mocked this, and last year everybody basically mocked the 14th overall pick, last one in the lottery, with Ochai Agbaji to Cleveland. It made a lot of sense. Cleveland was trying to make the playoffs after losing in the play-in tournament the year prior, so let's get an NBA-ready player out of Kansas. This year, Pelicans, they're trying to make the playoffs next year. Hopefully Zion is healthy. Hopefully Brandon Ingram takes another step as that number 1 option, and Hawkins is a perfect 3-and-D complementary piece to the Pelicans, who are trying to even get a top 6 seed in the West, not just the play-in tournament again. Hawkins is a leader on the defensive end. He could switch there in the backcourt. He could even maybe play the shooting guard, small forward if they want to play a little bit small with Ingram up a position, and Hawkins is one of the best contested shot makers out of this class. This guy hits insanely contested threes. His 3-point percentage contested is almost better than his uncontested 3-point percentage. That's how good he is. Under pressure, man in his face, he could still knock down big shots, and that's why I love Hawkins, who's ready out of the gate, more NBA ready than the player they took last year in Dyson Daniels, and can help the Pelicans right away. The pick after it, Kobe Buffkin to the Atlanta Hawks. Man, Kobe Buffkin, my 7th ranked prospect. I would have taken him in the top 10. I think he's one of the best guards in this draft. He's a great shooter. He's great at getting to the rim. He can finish at the rim. I think he's a plus defender. He's a great ball handler. He's good in transition. Checks all the boxes for what I want as a point guard here. I mean, if he was maybe a freshman coming out of Michigan, I would have even said he was a top 5 prospect. Sophomore maybe drops him off just a little bit to number 7, but I don't love the fit maybe as some of these other teams, like if Buffkin ended up possibly in Utah or Washington or Toronto. I would have maybe liked that a little bit more than Atlanta because he's 100% coming off the bench because he's behind Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, but it's not a bad plan B if they end up moving on from DeJounte Murray next offseason as he's a free agent, or if he gets traded and they realize, okay, Murray and Trae aren't going to work. We can use Kobe Buffkin, 6'4", can play up as a combo guard next to Trae, and we're good from there. And we got him for 3 more years on his rookie contract at a great value. So yeah, I think Kobe Buffkin can be a top 10 player in this class, and the Hawks got him at 15, so I am a fan of that. 19, the Golden State Warriors selected Brandon Podziemski out of Santa Clara. This is basically going to be the Dante DiVincenzo replacement right away. I think he can also be a better player for them than Gary Payton maybe next year, because at 6'6", he has great athleticism, great rebounding traits for somebody at that size as well. Out of Santa Clara, he's a good shooter. He knows his role, and I think he's a perfect player into the Warriors system. Yeah, maybe they could have drafted somebody with more size, but I wouldn't reach on somebody like a James Najee. Maybe Olivier Maxence Prosper could have been here, but they probably don't want to move Kuminga, and they want to give him another shot next year. So I really like the Podziemski pick, and I love him going to a team that's trying to win it all next year, so he can be a contributor to a team in the playoffs, kind of like Christian Brown was last year for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, I have to talk about this pick. Cam Whitmore to the Houston Rockets at 20. A couple weeks ago, I mocked Cam Whitmore to the Rockets at 4, and they ended up with him at pick 20, which is insane. This pick is via the Clippers. This was from the Eric Gordon trade, as there was a swap involved in this at the deadline, and this was the best thing ever for the Houston Rockets because they got Cam Whitmore, a guy that was supposed to go in the top 10. People were mocking him in the top 7, and yeah, due to some injury concerns, poor workouts, he dropped to 20. But hey, if he doesn't work out, you still took Amen Thompson at 4, your franchise point guard. This is fine if it doesn't work out. It's such a low risk, high reward selection. I just absolutely love this for the Houston Rockets. You can have an Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith / Tari Eason, Alperen Şengün lineup. I'm going to love that so much under Ime Udoka, who's going to make them buy in on the defensive end. Such an upgrade over Steven Silas. Yeah, and maybe they win 25 games, but that's an improvement, and we could see this team going in the right direction for 2024, 2025, and onwards. And my last pick that I just loved from the first round is Nick Smith Jr. to the Hornets at number 27. Yeah, I would have went Scoot over Brandon Miller at 2, but then if you would have told me, Matt, they're going to end up with Nick Smith Jr. at 27, where I thought he could have went in the top 20, for sure the top 25, and he fell to 27, I would have said, you know what, I could be okay with that, because Nick Smith, I think, is going to get a bad rap because he was hurt throughout his college freshman year at Arkansas last year. He struggled right away, and he also struggled in the tournament. But you know who also struggled in the tournament? Brandon Miller, because he was playing through some injuries as well, and he went 2nd overall. If you watch some of Nick Smith's either high school tape or his final regular season games last year in his freshman year, where he was dropping 20 points left and right in the couple final games, he was really fun to watch, man. He's going to be a good combo guard. I hope he gets a large role right out of the gate in Charlotte. We'll probably see him behind Terry Rozier, but hey, an injury happens. Maybe they trade Rozier. He's going to be that guy going forward, I think, next to LaMelo, which I'm super excited for. So quickly, some 2nd-round picks that I just absolutely love. Leonard Miller to the Timberwolves at 33. I don't know how he fell out of the first round. Just the potential alone, I just don't know why you wouldn't want this guy on a 4-year, 2-year criticism on the defensive end, and you could never, and I mean never, have enough of those guys. So I just love this pick for Minnesota at 33. The pick right after this, the Celtics technically drafted Colby Jones, but traded him to the Sacramento Kings, and yeah, Sacramento basically gave up their 1st-round pick to get off the Richaun Holmes contract. I was okay with that because I would have taken Colby Jones at 24, the pick they traded, and they ended up getting him in the 2nd round. They got off the Richaun Holmes contract, in which they're going to have $30+ million in cap space in this free agency, which is just wild. I don't know where they're going to spend that money. Maybe they do it in a trade. Maybe they end up just signing somebody like a Jeremy Grant, maybe somebody that they need on the defensive end, because they sure need defense. But yeah, getting Colby Jones can help them right away. Good score off the bench. Maybe take some of those Harrison Barnes minutes, because those are going to probably get distributed to Keegan Murray and Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. But I really like Colby Jones in the 2nd round out of Xavier. And then lastly, the LA Lakers getting Maxwell Lewis at 40. I think I like Maxwell Lewis just as much as Jalen Hood-Schifino, who they got at 17. I don't know how Maxwell Lewis fell past the Denver Nuggets or the LA Clippers or even some of these teams to start the 2nd round. He's a good 3-level scorer out of Pepperdine. dying. He could get to the rim with ease, can get to the foul line, and he can finish at the rim. He had one of the best rim field goal percentages out of anybody coming into this class, and he's going to be, I think, a really crafty scorer for LA. And we're going to be probably saying to ourselves, how did they get this guy? Because he's going to be talked about a lot, which I'm happy for, because he's going to be playing in the biggest market in LA. And whenever somebody's on the Lakers, they're always overrated or over talked about, but that's fine with me because I absolutely loved Maxwell Lewis as a prospect. He was my top sleeper in this class, and I can't believe the Lakers got him at 40. Like, that's immense value. All right, so now I'm just going to talk about few picks that I really didn't like too much. It's not because I didn't like these prospects like I mentioned earlier. It's just I thought they were a reach or didn't really fit what the team was doing at the moment. So the first one is Jet Howard to the Orlando Magic at 11. I was okay with Anthony Black at 6. I thought it was a little bit of a reach, but if you would have told me before the draft the Magic are going to end up with Anthony Black and Jet Howard with their 2 lottery picks, I would have been a little bit disappointed. I think Jet Howard could be a fine shooter, but just with Grady Dick, Jordan Hawkins, Kobe Buffkin on the board, I really thought it was a head-scratching pick. They probably could have traded down a little bit and got him. I even thought Keontae George had more upside out of Baylor than Jet Howard did, especially at pick 11. So I just really wasn't the biggest fan of this for the Orlando Magic. I'd rather them have just traded the pick and picked up a future first-round pick instead. So next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets selecting Noah Clowney at pick 21. I think I would have preferred Clowney going to a team that needed more defensive help. The Nets have some great defenders as it is, and Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges, Nick Claxton in that front court, and I would have liked if they took somebody with a little bit more upside, and they did that with Derek Whitehead the pick later, but with Nick Smith Jr. still on the board, even Marcus Sasser, because this team does need some leading point guard help, I just thought Noah Clowney really wasn't in their best interest because I don't really think he's going to have the highest chance to shine there. I like him on the defensive end. I would just prefer him in some other situations. And lastly, at 30, where the LA Clippers took Kobe Brown, and maybe I just completely evaluated Kobe Brown in a wrong direction, and I just didn't like him from the start out of Missouri. I thought he was a top 40 guy in this class, and it's not really that I didn't like Kobe Brown here to the Clippers. It's more I just like some other guys over him. Like the guys that I mentioned in the second round. All right, you don't want to take Leonard Miller. He's a project guy you're trying to win next year. Well, take Colby Jones. Take Maxwell Lewis. I would have loved if Marcus Sasser fell to the Clippers at 30, but obviously that wasn't going to happen with him going a few picks higher. Even guys like Julian Phillips on the defensive end or Andre Jackson as a just plug-and-play slasher cutter fill-in guy for the Clippers, I would have liked a little bit more than Kobe Brown. So those are the 3 picks I thought were the worst of the first round. And there's really no wrong picks in the second round either because, hey, you could take a Nikola Jokic of the world or you could take a Clay Anthony early. You're not getting fired for any of those selections. So yeah, those are my best and worst picks of the 2023 NBA draft. Let me know what you guys think of them in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be ranking every single first round pick, taking into account the player themselves, value, was it a reach or not? So that's going to be super fun as well. So make sure you subscribe. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers. Hope you guys have a great Saturday, and I'll catch you all in tomorrow's video. Peace.